This is Takanuva. He's the legendary 7th Toa of Light and final evolution of Takua the Chronicler, but his original Toa build could really use an upgrade. Today, we'll do just that, and of course, push the limits of my LEGO skills by seeing how he does with the dreaded drop test. A while ago, I won a contest for a bunch of chromed LEGO parts, and what better time to use them than on the Toa of Light. His mask looks unreal with this chromed finish. To start, I'll add some eyes to this head part and attach the mask. Then, we can move on to Takanuva's body. I'll begin with one of these tri-connector bits, which I can connect some Technic lift arms and stopper axles to. Using the stopper axles here makes things way stronger. I'll add a number of ball joints, which we can use to connect some armor to. These chromed Hero Factory shells should do the trick. I'll add some hexagons to these smaller shells before connecting them in. Next, I'll build up his neck connection with this socket, friction connector, and some Technic cams. After attaching that in, we can cap it off with this little assembly here. I think these pulley wheels give a cool look with the armor peeking out from under them. To further bulk up Takua's chest, I want to use these flag parts. To attach them, I'll use a burnt minifigure hot dog, a robot arm, and a rod. I'll temporarily remove the pulleys, and the assembly can get connected into his back. Then, I can swing it into place. After reattaching the pulleys, I think we can add in one more set of flags to complete Takanuva's chest. This guy's a little broken, but if we hide it here, no one will know, right? We can attach it in with some T-bars and clips. Next, for his shoulder joints, I'll add some ball joints. Now for the hips, I'll use another tri-connector and some more lift arms, to which I'll add some axles and ball joints. Then, a socket for his waist, before we move on to armoring up this structure. To attach the armor, I'll connect this Technic brick and a clip part, which can attach to the axle here. At this point, you're probably yelling at your screen, "Mitch, where are the torso pistons?" I agree, they're probably the top 5 most important parts of a Bionicle, but don't worry, we'll be building them up next. I'll use this rod end, a gray piston rod, red half pins for the seals, and a Technic connector for the piston body. To attach them in, I'm using clips and a bracket. Then, we can lock everything in place with these 2 clips to get a stud reversal. For his back armor, I'll use this Hero Factory chest part, which we can fill in with this white core. Then, for some added bulk, we can use these weirdly shaped Technic bits. To attach them, let's build up a little assembly with some clips, which we'll lock together using these brackets and tiles. I'll then add some skeleton arms and connect in the funky Technic parts. After that, we can use the skelly arms to attach this to the rest of Takanuva. Finally, I can lock things all together with these lift arms and bar. Next, it's time to accessorize. In the Matanui online game, Takua finds a backpack, which becomes a pretty iconic part of his journey as the Chronicler. I'm thinking it'd be nice if he hung on to it, and now that he's turned into a Toa, he wears it as some kind of hypebeast fanny pack. To build the bag, I'll use 2 of these Hero Factory spider parts, which I want to connect this curved slope to. I'm fitting this rod with a clip and some hollow studs for everything to attach to. I'll add another slope, and then fill in the gap at the top of his backpack by trapping this cheese slope and bracket. I'll then attach these 2 clips in what I assure you is a very, very legal connection, before threading some zip lines through each other in another fun technique. Finally, we can connect them in to finish the backpack. Next up, it's time to build Takua's post-anamorph feet. For that, I'm going to start with this Hero Factory foot. The only problem is that it wants the ball socket to connect this way, and I think that looks kind of silly. So instead, I'll turn the socket this way and trap it in there with an axle. Then, for the soles of his shoes, I'll use a variety of Lego bricks in black, like these Technic bricks, and some headlight bricks, to which I can attach some baby slopes and Technic bushings. This first section can connect to the Hero Factory foot. Then, we can move on to the toe section, with a double cheese, some more bricks, and slopes. Finally, I'll attach this Technic connector, which will lock the ball socket in place once the foot is connected together. For Takua's legs, I want to pay homage to the classic leg part Takanuva's set uses, with its iconic bell bottoms. To do that, I'm going to use these Star Wars shin parts and some turbines. We just need to build up the structure that'll hold it all together. To start, I'll use this long axle and a socket. Here, I'll add some mechanical details and a ball joint for the shin armor to attach to. Then, we can thread on the turbine and lock it in place with a lift arm. I'll cap things off with a ball joint and then move on to some more decorative pistons. I'll make these in a similar way to the torso pistons, but double them up so that Takua is ready for whatever calf raises he needs to do in his duties as a Toa. I'll connect the top with some bar and clip connections. For the knee, I'll double up some ball joints on this Technic cam to help get a more full range of motion. For some last little greebly details, I'll shove these gears into a minifigure lifeguard buoy and connect them in. For the structure of the upper legs, I'll use this double socket, which I'll add a friction extender to, before attaching an armored hexagon. I want to use this weird bike fairing part. In order to connect it, I'll use this tri-connector. Then, I can attach this to the rest of the upper leg with some ball joints and Technic cams. I'll reattach the fairing and clip it in. A few more decorative pistons wouldn't hurt anyone, so I'll add them to round out the look. I'll connect in some structure for them to attach to, and add one more brick-built armor plate before connecting the legs together. Check out the range of motion that double ball joint gives us. Finally, I'll attach Takanuva's foot, and that finishes the legs. Next, let's shift gears and build Takanuva's staff. I have a chromed version of his OG blade, which I'll use here. I'll add a few details of my own, with this white part, and a Lord of the Rings 1 ring, maybe 2 rings. Now, I'll stack some connectors and red axles for the handle. Then, I'll build up the pommel with some more mechanical details, and the 3 and 4 rings. One more callback to the Matanui online game I think would fit nicely here is a light stone, given that Takua is now a Toa of Light. I'll build it up with some golden pyramids and a number of plates. I'm thinking it'd look cool hanging off the back of his staff. So, to facilitate that, I'll connect this chain to some Lego string and attach the light stone in the only way I could think of, with some Lego elastics. With that connected, his staff is done, and it's time to move on to Takanuva's arms. In the original set, these are the exact same parts as his legs, so let's keep that visual consistency, and reuse those Star Wars shin and turbine parts. For the hands, I'll use some bar and clips, then connect some rod ends for fingers, to which I'll add some 2 long rods. Since this hand needs to close around his staff, let's swap out those bars for some cattle horns. With that sorted, we can cover up these black bits with a flag. In this case, a racing flag, but we'll flip that around and it'll be our little secret. Let's build a little assembly to connect that in. For his elbow, I'll build up another set of double ball joints. And then, for the upper arms, I'll start with a double socket and a friction extender. let's add a Hero Factory shell here. And then, to cover up the back of his arm, I'll steal a flipper from this old school Technic guy. I'll attach an open stud, which can connect to the existing bar. For one last chrome touch, let's add Takanuva's shoulder armor, which I want to attach to the upper arms around here. I'll do that by building up this little assembly here, and then adding a clip to the flipper part. With that on, we can connect the arm and test the range of motion. Let's wrap things up with the final assembly, starting by attaching Takanuva's head. Next up, I'll connect in his legs. Now it's time to accessorize. Let's add the backpack turned satchel. Next, I want to add a bright red cape as a callback to Takua's honorary membership in the Takoro Guard. Finally, I can attach his arms and give him his staff. Then, we can move on to the beauty shots before we test his strength in the dreaded drop test. Thank you to all the amazing people supporting me over on Patreon, and special shout out to my newest patron, Xavier Godinez. If you like this video, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. But until then, happy building.